even with this being a chapter that was more, set up as kind of funny and silly, it ended up becoming like a very big chapter for a lot of small details. A lot of nitpick parts that you take out are, they're going to hold a lot more water and a lot more weight further down the line. And this reminds me of, because the last chapter with just pretty much just being the funny side, of Charlotte's embarrassment when confronted with Yami. She just ran off, and it was multiple pages of her just kind of like screaming and running away. And he still started out with some like cool stuff with Marx and Julius and Damnatio. For the most part, the last chapter was very comedic. It reminds me of if you've read Fairy Tale, and obviously a lot of people on my channel do because it's one of the things they're really talking about. But I'm sorry, my cat's really having a lot of fun playing. But anyway, there was the fairy nail chapter where it was just it was set up as more comedy, more kind of a little bit character relation stuff, and then in the chapter following it, connected to it, it became like a lot more towards the story and how it connected to that. It wasn't just like some random chapter; there was purpose to it, and that's what we got pretty much out of this chapter, because now Yami has decided to go confront Charlotte over some of the stuff going on that he wanted to see her for. You have Charlotte having a really, good character moment for her, but also just like it's straight like some setup for other characters, some displays of of their Night Order, because we haven't seen a lot of the Night Orders in Expanse. We've seen obviously the Black Bulls. The most we've seen of like the Crimson Lions was like right after the Star Award ceremony, when they found out the rankings, we kind of learned about Mara Leona's personality. We saw like a lot of nameless characters of the Crimson Lions. We later found out their vice captain after he got possessed by an elf. And here we see the Blue Roses, and the Blue Roses they're not a very big group. I figured they'd be a lot bigger. Like even outside of the Black Bulls, it looks like the Blue Roses are probably going to be like the second smallest, because they're, what is this, I'm just looking at it right now, just kind of like guessing, probably like 12, 13 members. And yet I just think it's kind of weird, because we could have got more of their characters shown. It's a little bit of a shame, because we're getting ready to pull away from the Clover Kingdom, so we won't see a lot of them for a while. We probably could have got like a couple of them more relevant, got a little bit more character than just Damn Soul. Everyone who frequents my Black Clover videos knows that I'm not a fan of Soul's character. But as it is, I did like just seeing like this is the amass of them. This is what we got to work with. So in the future, if it becomes larger, double, triple, that'll be like, damn, remember this? I mean, it's not like she's been a captain for a really long time. It's still notable, years and years. But I figured she would have a lot more than this. I figured at least double this, at the very least, if not triple. Maybe we'll get that in the future. But we have Charlotte, who's addressing her crew, and she's like explaining how the Blue Roses obviously is an all-female squad. They've done away with the notion of pretty much like looking up the worshiping men, and really just kind of praising the abilities of women. And again, I don't really understand this in the Black Clover world. I talked about this a bit in the last live stream and in the last review, because in Black Clover, it's not really about physical prowess. It's all about magical like level and capability. So there shouldn't be that same gap in Black Clover for sexism. I mean, I guess you can say, well, there's probably more powerful male characters than our female characters, which we've seen. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just the more kind of like drive for the male side to become powerful magic knights. Maybe it's just kind of like a straight statistics number, and not as much as like an inability and action kind of thing. But here we have Charlotte saying how, because of what she's going to tell them, that she now has to step down as captain. She reveals to her crew that she's in love with Yami, and she knows that they're not going to really take it well, because again, they're like an all-female, kind of like against males, and to a degree, the only one who seems like really against guys as Soul. I'm not, I just don't like Soul, but from this, you get a good thing because I knew that when she announced it all that her crew is going to be supportive of her because obviously she's very highly respected amongst the Blue Roses. They all really like her, and they're all excited for her. They're all pretty happy. The only person that wasn't was Soul, and that just shows me that I was dead on about not liking Soul because all the other members of the Blue Roses are like happy about it, whether or not they're like because like some of them you could tell like are some of those very pro romance characters. There's like some characters who are just like very happy for their captain, regardless of whether or not she's apparently following this like pro or anti men mindset. They just want their captain to be happy. And here's Soul just kind of like, damn, I can't believe this. She's just a little bit bugged out by it, and I'm just so you are a hateful ass bitch. I don't know. I mean, she'll probably get better. We already saw some signs of it. I've already mentioned this before. If she gets better, then my opinion obviously will change of currently how I feel about her. But one of the things I actually thought was funny is one of the girls in the Blue Roses revealed she's actually had a boyfriend for a while. She's been going out with Secret, and I was just like, this kind of a bitch is way ahead of you. What are you doing? You haven't even said anything to Yami yet, and here we have this girl just being like, yeah, I've actually been doing that for a while. Sorry, sorry, not sorry. And it's like, well, they can't get mad at you now. But then you just got to like a lot of romance talk. A lot of the girls try to now push her and help her gain up the courage to go like talk to Yami about it. But luckily for her, Yami actually shows up with Asta, and Asta, the fucker, this kid. So when Charlotte goes to talk to Yami, Yami's like pretty much like, oh, I actually I think I know what you're saying. I could get the feeling that you don't really like me because whenever they're around each other because of how embarrassed she is, she kind of like either acts very cold or runs away. And Yami took that obviously as just like a problem. This person doesn't like me. He's gotten that a lot. Obviously, he's a foreigner. There was some discrimination outside, like we know from his backstory, outside of kind of probably like the higher up people, like political figures. Yami probably doesn't get disliked a lot outside of like personal ones because we know that there's some tension because of his personality to the other captains. But when going over this, here's freaking Asta who talks about how like, oh, I don't think she doesn't like you. I get the same feeling while seeing how she thinks about you that Noelle thinks about me. It's not really a dislike. It's kind of like this weird trust thing, and it's kind of harder for characters in some aspects to be able to talk in full over somebody, even if they very much trust them. I mean, he's Asta freaking acknowledging that he has like this understanding of that Noelle has some, feelings for him. He doesn't know what kind. He just knows they're there, and he's just like, well, she'll probably tell me eventually. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's something. And it's like, this is absurd because now this means that Asta, instead of being like oblivious to romance, because you get a lot of that in mangas. You have, oh hey, the main character has some girl that's really into him, and they don't find out for a long time. Even though it's obvious to a lot of people, the main character is dense and doesn't get it. Asta, on the other hand, does get it, just not fully. He's just like, hey, this I can tell that you got something towards me, but whatever that is in specifics, I don't know. It's something, whatever. That'll be so weird for him just to constantly being able to like, if he just named all the women that have like a thing for him, and he's just like, I don't know. Maybe they just really like talking to me. Maybe they're embarrassed of my hard muscles and conviction. When it's no, also there's another thing that they really enjoy about you, but that alone was interesting by itself as well. Like we got a good character moment. We got to see some of the Blue Roses, really all of them, and then Asta's little odd reveal of knowing not knowing about these feelings that he can sense from characters. But then we get back to Yami, and Yami's talking to Charlotte. He wants to find out about the curse that was put upon her because now he's obviously investigating, trying to figure out about the resurrection, forbidden magic that was placed, and obviously went down with the elves. And Charlotte reveals that it was a curse put on her family, held on by some kind of old creepy person, and from that there was I don't remember what story it was, but someone was talking about it on Twitter and how the characters, like from a similar old story, I think it was had something to do with I think it had something to do with, I don't remember, but it was, some cursed bitch, and she pretty much put it on the same a similar situation with a woman, and the design, you can tell from looking at it, are a little bit similar. That kind of like hunched over, kind of like a, what's that lady's name? Maleficent, like her spookier form with the apple. But obviously, this one has wings for some reason and weird kind of horns coming out of her head because she used forbidden magic. And we got a really nice, like, little short description of forbidden magic in this chapter. How forbidden magic isn't just like, oh, straight like some absurd, crazy, complex magic. It's more of any magic that interferes with the nature of the world. So anything that would defy the natural law of things can be forbidden magic. Anything from the other world where the demons are from, and because of that, it end up like messing with her for her whole life. And at 18, it was supposed to pretty much just like take full control, but that wasn't the case. Obviously that's when Yami kind of showed up to her and helped her push her into controlling herself and controlling the curse and what. So I'm curious. Also, I wonder if Asta would be able to undo it with his annihilating sword, be able to fully undo it, similar to how he got with the elf one. I mean, maybe, because I guess it'd be kind of harder because the difference is the elf resurrection one was pretty fresh onto him, whereas the curse has been on Charlotte for probably her whole life. But she says that there's a member of the Black Bulls that also has a curse on him from forbidden magic. And then it peers over to Dorothy, who goes to talk to Noelle, and Noelle wants to find out about her mom and how she's related to demons. The thing about that is it makes sense because we know that Noelle has been told stories of both elves and demons growing up and like monsters and stuff. So there's obviously the knowledge in her family. So Aesir Silva, who was, at least from what we know, like the strongest member of the Silva family and a big deal and clearly having important ties, that'll probably relate to why she died. Like, maybe she got in a fight with some powerful character and the character's like cursed her the next time she has a kid, she'll die or something like that. Something kind of unfortunate and sad. But I don't know. I get Noelle. I figured it'd be maybe towards Henry, and then we found out, more about like Henry's magic draining thing. But maybe it'll just be kept a sickness. Maybe it'll just be kept that way, and then it'll just be kind of an anomaly. Whereas Noelle's is gonna maybe explain like her inability to control magic properly, and the obvious thing about the death of her mother. So look forward to that. That's going to be a pretty fun time to see how that chapter goes down and how we see the progression from this onto the rest of this arc, or rather the next arc, because we're still in that kind of transitionary period in between. This will have, you'll be able to refer to something or refer to a name for this kind of piece in between the Elf Resurrection arc and next arc. But as right now, we're just kind of in that like, hey, we're setting up stuff for the next arc. We're just we're keeping it quiet. I know we just had what, like 80 chapters of straight action and like story importance, lots of crazy stuff. But now we're doing lots of setup and character moments. I mean, there's already a lot of characters. We can have some softer character moments that don't require crazy action. We're getting a lot more comfy stuff. Other than that, tell me in the comment section below what you thought about this. This is good. I like that we're getting some stuff for Charlotte's character. I think she's pretty cool. I miss her helmet though. She needs to braid her hair back and then put on that weird bladed unicorn helmet. Other than that, I really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, press the like button, subscribe button, check out my other videos. And that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.